Crypto markets have been pretty bullish these days, so we're going to cover what's going on in the macro markets as well as some hot projects you definitely do not want to miss. Let's go ahead and get into the macro markets overall. So for the most part, things are looking pretty bullish. A lot of people say like this is where the bull market really starts, so we're entering the first stages of that bull market. One particular person that I do follow a bit is going to be Plan B. He kind of has this Bitcoin stock to flow model. I'm not even going to explain the whole details of it if you're not familiar with it, but basically Bitcoin kind of follows this trend in terms of like pricing and time depending on when the halvings are and things like that. This model has been accurate over the past few cycles. So according to this guy, we're at that beginning stage of the bull run and we're going to go ballistic over the next few months, hopefully. And of course, it's just a model. It doesn't mean it's going to be true or going to happen, but it's just mapping out what could happen based on historical data. If you are sidelined or if you are invested or whatever the case is, just understand that things might be heating up. We're seeing a lot of celebrities enter the space. We're seeing a lot of Web 2 people who have big followings want to come into Web 3 to make some money promoting different things. And so this is the time. First piece of news we have is going to be Mocaverse. So essentially Animoca, which is one of the largest investors in the crypto space, they recently announced this thing called the Realm Network, right? So I guess this is their overarching umbrella where they're going to have a lot of different brands under it, and each of these brands have their own token. First two that people already know is going to be Mocha. This is basically from the Mocha coin. They have the Mocha NFT. It's like that Animoca kind of brand launchpad kind of stuff. And then from there we have Anime ID, which is from the Anime Foundation, which is connected to WeBox, San Fran Tokyo. It's the basically anime play. So my guess is that they're going to look at every single category and then they're going to have their own ID for that category. Probably gaming in the future, possibly AI, maybe real estate, right? I think they kind of open this opportunity where anything kind of goes as long as it somewhat fits that narrative and it somewhat fits the justification for why a token should exist in that pocket. It seems like Animoca is finding clever ways to try to take more market share as this space grows bigger. So, San Fran Tokyo put out a little information about this. Anime ID is the most accurate representation of your ID. It's really not clear exactly what it will be used for or why it's valuable, but I'm sure they have a plan up their sleeve and I'm sure it's going to tie back into the token, which is what most people care about anyways. Now, speaking of token, we're going to talk about YOLO Games. Okay, we're going to talk about some Gamblify real quick. And shout out to YOLO Games for helping make this video possible. So basically, they're a game on Blast. They are, I believe, one of the top or the #1 gambling game on Blast, right? So they have a number of games like Poke the Bear, YOLO, Moon or Doom. For me, from a high level perspective on the business sides, what's interesting is that for gambling, especially when it comes to online gambling, a lot of times you don't know the odds, right? Like if you play a game, what's the chance you're going to win? A common technique that casinos, even physical casinos, use is that they make your odds of winning look like they're high, but they're really low. But for YOLO Games, everything's on chain, so you can see the odds exactly. You can know what's going on. So it's a little bit more transparent compared to how things were done before, right? So that's the use case for why casino or gambling might make sense on crypto. I was looking at the stats. This game's kind of big, right? It has around like 80,000 players, 271,000 games played, a lot of transaction, 1.8 million in gold distributed to the players. So it's a game that does have a lot of volume. People are definitely playing it. And the big news for them is they have a TGE event, right? So not just transaction fees anymore, not just Go, but they're going to be launching a token in June. So probably real soon when you watch this video. So what's interesting about this token is they're doing something called a liquidity bootstrapping pool. And when I heard of this, I was like, what is this exactly? But when I looked into it, basically all it really is a Dutch auction. So a Dutch auction, you're setting a high price and it goes lower over time. If nobody buys it, then you're kind of discovering the price. But also if there's a lot of FOMO and a lot of people want to buy, then the price is going to be high. So you can argue both sides of like, is that fair? Is it not fair? But at the end of the day, you vote with your own money. If you think it's worth that, then it's actually worth that. So if you want to check out YOLO Games, especially checking out their TGE, make sure to follow them on Twitter and then get all the details on how their sale is going to go down if you want to participate. All right, next project we're going to talk about, it's going to be a new one that I just recently saw. It's going to be called Profiles. Now I watched this trailer. It's basically a PFP where they're able to swap out the different clothes. So essentially when you mint and it's not clear what the mint price or what chain it's going to be on, basically how it is you're going to be able to swap the traits. So I'm guessing you're going to buy a base first and it's not going to come with any clothes. And then every 3 months, they're going to drop these booster drops. That's what they're calling it. And you're going to be able to, I guess, win some random clothes, right? So instead of, a PFP, if you think about it, the project usually has to create all the clothes in a review. What they're doing is like, hey, let's just do less work. We create the base and then we'll just drop the clothes over time and make it exciting. And then if you stake and all that kind of stuff, you get these premium drops. I guess you're delivering the same result at the end of the day, which is a PFP with cool clothes, but you're spreading out the work and you're able to mint early on and you're able to create this gamification kind of thing. Now, it would be really interesting if the collaborations that they did, if it was with like a base or a layer 2, and then those layer 2s will pay tokens for whoever holds certain things, right? And that's a way to kind of financialize some of these clothes and give it more value beyond just, you know, oh, it looks sick. So I think it's a pretty clever idea. Definitely whoever's doing this, I'm pretty sure that it's not just the artist, right? So he's a pretty good artist. He's apparently a resident at Adidas, so I'm not exactly sure what that means or what that entails. And he definitely has dropped collections before, I believe on Solana, right? He definitely has a following. And I think that on the business side, there's probably another team or group that kind of puts everything together, because it seems pretty well done, as if this team has already done projects before. But yeah, I mean, if you're into fashion, you're into NFTs, switching clothes for these NFTs, you want to follow along, check out profiles. Let's go ahead and talk about Co-Museum, right? So Co-Museum is founded by this guy, Wei. I actually met him in person one time in Singapore. Seemed like a nice guy. Very connected to the traditional art world. You know, maybe I'll interview him one day on the channel and we'll get his whole story. Basically, what they want to do is they want to take like these artifacts or museum pieces, and they want to fractionalize it and have everyone be a owner of these pieces. So instead of just enjoying a piece of art in a museum, what if you could own like 0.01% of that as a token? So that's generally the base idea. And the first project they have is going to be the golden skateboard. So this is purchased from Azuki and then had Tony Hawk sign it. And then now I believe they are going to fractionalize it, which is interesting, right? Because, you know, the way I look at it is you buy a skateboard and then you fractionalize it, then you sell the tokens. Well, you technically still have the skateboard, but then you were able to sell the tokens, and then you kind of get your money back from the skateboard, right? Which is kind of interesting. You know, you're spreading the ownership to different people through the tokenization and stuff like that. And what's also interesting for me to think about for these tokens, if the value of the tokens go above the value of the asset, which is the skateboard, does that mean the team actually makes money on the tokens because now they have more paper value on the tokens? But also reversely, if the token value goes lower than the value of the skateboard, then the people lose money, right? And so these are very interesting dynamics. If you look at like, let's say like Grayscale Ethereum Trust, right? So this is like a proxy way for people to buy Ethereum using their 401k. I purchased some Ethereum doing this. I remember there was a time when this was trading at a discount where, let's say Ethereum was $2,000, but then the stock that you had was only worth like $1,700. So it's like you have the same asset, but it's worth less than the real thing. I wonder if that will be an issue for Co-Museum. You know, I guess supply and demand is always an issue when you tokenize something. I'm sure there are very clever ways like finance people have to keep the prices stable and stuff like that. But overall, it's a pretty cool concept. I think this is something that a lot of people will probably buy in. Like, you're not going to buy Picasso by yourself, but if you could buy a percentage of it and flex it online in some way, I can see a future where that becomes a reality. All right, another project that I recently discovered, and I did talk to somebody on the team, it's gonna be Sofamon. When I saw this, I was like, oh, what is it? Like, it's just stickers for like Telegram and it's an NFT project. That doesn't make any sense. But then when I talked to the team and I learned what they're all about, I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty interesting. So for Sofamon, basically you need an invite code to come in. Invite codes are not that easy to come around. It's not like they're giving it to everyone. It's very incentivized financially. So basically you set up your character, right? So that's my little character over here that I made, which is free to make. And then you have to buy the clothes, right? How it works is you go to the market, then you go, let's say they did a collab with Friendtech, and then you could buy this clothes, right? So this one's like pretty sick. You buy this jacket for 1.35 ETH, right? So you might say, okay, that's kind of expensive for one jacket. So when these drops happen, the price of it is actually super cheap. It's like 0.0 something. But then as more people buy, it gets more expensive. So it's like a bonding curve, right? That's what they call it. So the more people buy, the higher price it becomes. The more people sell, the cheaper it becomes, right? It's different from a floor price, okay? It's because the availability, right? So there's a plenty in stock. There's 850 of these in stock out of a supply of 1,000. So meaning only 150 people bought this jacket. But because of the way the pricing and everything works, you know, this team is actually making quite a bit of money from selling these digital items. Same goes for all these other ones and these rares and stuff like that. Now, why are people buying a rare one for 0.5? Because there's a leaderboard. And so there's going to be these points called carrots. And what do those carrots turn into? Who knows, right? It's a mystery. People can speculate it might be a token, right? But they never said anything. So you're basically playing this game for carrots. You want to be on top of the list so that you're flexing and you're getting more carrots compared to the next guy. And then those carrots might turn into something and maybe worth it, maybe it won't. And the other interesting part is like there's a inviter leaderboard. If you invite your friend and then they buy things, they add up all the value of those assets together, and that's your inviter spending. So you want to be on the top of you spending yourself, and you want to invite your rich friends who are going to spend 190 ETH on these clothes, and then it adds up on your points as well. So you're incentivized to actually invite people who actually want to spend money and play this game for carrots. It's a very very interesting use case of NFTs combined with leaderboards, combined with points, combined with rewards, which potentially might be tokens, right? I guess the narrative and use case is that these clothes can be used as stickers, so you can use it on Telegram, right? Is it valuable to use a sticker on Telegram? I think it depends. I think if you're in a circle where everybody has one of these, and I believe this is heavily supported by the Base community, right? It's built on Base. This is a luxury sticker brand, so it's almost creating a new category, whereas regular stickers that you have on Telegram, they're free. So it's a very interesting take on it, and it seems like it's working, right? In terms of, looking at the sales of those clothes, they're making a lot of money. I'm seeing definitely a NFT culture on Base. Out of all the layer 2s, I think Base definitely has the most potential to me for proliferating NFTs. Probably after that, Solana. I think the other chains don't have much of an NFT culture quite yet, or maybe they won't. Probably consolidate on ETH, Base, Solana. That's my personal guess. If you disagree, you can let me know in the comments. That's it. That's everything we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and make sure to follow me on Twitter as well at Patrick Dang. I'll be dropping new alpha there all the time nowadays, and I'll see you in the next one.